This should surprise absolutely nobody. But hey, looks like finally even the normies are starting to catch on that most racism accusations are just an extortion scam. A racism or brazen scam. Groups of travelers are behaving bizarrely in pubs while secretly recording themselves and then suing bar staff for thousands of pounds for refusing to serve them. Yeah, they're doing it on purpose. That's right. 4 Irishmen walk into a bar biz in the first line of a joke. As hundreds of pub landlords are finding out, it can instead mark the start of a very modern nightmare. Gary Sidwell is a case in point. He runs the Purely Arms, an old school boozer in the working class neighborhood of southern Croydon. Here, his ordeal began on a Wednesday afternoon in October last year when a young burly Brian Mongan visited the premises, accompanied by his brother Pete and their friends Paddy and Tom McDonough. What happened next is now the subject of an escalating legal battle with Gary's entire livelihood riding on its outcome. Why would anyone even want to operate a business when some random trolls can just completely screw up your life like this? It revolves around a single undisputed fact that Mongan and his mates left the Purely Arms about 60 seconds after walking in, and a thorny question. Why? Gary says he refused to serve the group because their strange behavior. Mongan has said his chums, and his chums say he booted them out for a very different reason, one that could now cost him money, lots and lots of money. False accusations, man. Look, did you guys really think that false accusations were going to stick to just sexual misconduct? Oh, hell no. Oh, hell no. Dude, juicy smoliers are everywhere, man. Let's get the landlord's version of events first. They all came in together and went to separate areas of the pub, and none of them had ordered any drinks. Gary recalled in a subsequent witness statement. He alleges that the men looked too young to buy alcohol and had an intimidating manner that left his barmaid feeling a bit worried. Crucially, as his statement adds, one of the youngsters walked up to the bar and declared that he and his chums were variously Irish travelers and fairground travelers, and then asked if he and his friends were going to be served. It's an odd way to order a pint, so concluding that Mongan and his friends were troublemakers, Gary recalls answering, "Not today, no." Fast forward 3 months, and Mongan and his chums offered a very different take on the proceedings. Yeah, look, this is why if you're a business owner, you got to record everything. You got to have cameras. You got to even have hidden cameras. Because if they can visibly see the cameras, they will do all their shenanigans out of sight of the camera. So, yeah, you got to have the entire premises, like every square inch of it, visible in camera. It came via a letter which plopped onto the doormat of the Purely Arms in January 25 from law firm Howe & Company. Over some 15 pages, it argues that the 4 men had been refused service that day for reasons of race and were therefore entitled to exemplary damages under the current year -14 Equality Act. Oh, and it turned out that they had also been secretly recording the whole conversation on their smartphones. Our clients left the premises extremely embarrassed, upset, and distressed as a result of the unlawful discriminatory conduct of your staff. It read, the sole reason for the refusal of service was our client's race. Aren't you guys glad you have all these hate laws that makes it so easy to make scams like this? Perhaps understandably, Gary was stunned. He no longer had CCTV footage of the incident, which under data protection protocols had been deleted after 28 days. Oh, man. Yeah, that's another sad thing. You can't delete anything. Like, man, when it comes to these false accusations, we've had examples of this going back decades. Yeah, sometimes, like, if you were a nobody 30 years ago and then suddenly become famous, you'll have people accusing you of shit you did 30 years ago that you can't disprove anymore. And since in current year, we're shifting towards guilty until proven innocent, man, although, could you imagine, like, how hilarious would it be if someone tried that? Like, if they tried to accuse you of something from 30 years ago and you actually proved the receipts, like you provided the footage. Actually, I got camera footage of exactly what happened then. Let's look at it. It soon became very clear that the 4 quote-unquote Irish travelers were after a very huge compensation payment indeed. The whole incident from start to finish lasted no more than 20 seconds, Gary recalls. I thought nothing of it at the time. Then one day in January, I get hit with a massive compensation claim. Initially, they wanted me to pay them £3,000 each, plus extra for legal costs. The total amount they were after worked out to be at £16,000. Rereading the letter of claim, Gray began to suspect foul play, namely that Manga and his friends had deliberately manufactured the incident in which they were refused service, and they recorded it to make money from a discrimination lawsuit. Yeah, I believe it. But this is why you need to have your own recordings. And Gary soon discovered he was not the only landlord to be targeted this way. Is it by the same people, too? For on the very afternoon the group visited the Purely Arms, they had gone to at least two more nearby pubs, the Bull's Head and the Surrey Cricketers. Each time they had also behaved oddly and been asked to leave, and both incidents were now subject to a £16,000 compensation involving Howe and Co. Details emerged of two letters dated January 25th, which were sent to the two landlords. They included similar claims to the one Gary had received, including a paragraph informing each landlord that Mongan and his chums were after damages and compensation to the injury for their injury to feelings, embarrassment, and distress and inconvenience. This is what happens when you're a fucking idiot and you allow feelings to be legislated. This should have been stopped years ago, but nope. But you don't you want to be a good person? No, because that means being a sucker. Yeah, like vegans. Yeah, vegans do this shit too. Yeah. Letters revealed that at 5:30 p.m., 90 minutes after they pitched up at the Purely Arms on October 25th, the group were asked to leave the Surrey Cricketers a mile away by landlord Trevor Weller. A quarter of an hour later, at 5:45 p.m., a near identical scenario was played out in the Bull's Head from the corner, which they were refused service by publican John McFarlane. All very unusual, suspicious even, and the plot would further thicken over ensuing months when several other Croydon landlords found themselves receiving curiously similar discrimination lawsuits. Yeah, and this is probably just the beginning. I wonder how many others, even outside this area, they hit. And I wonder what's going to happen when this becomes more common. Indeed, when we met a few days ago, Gary told me that he believes an astonishing 24 pubs and restaurants in this single commuter town on the outskirts of London are being sued for alleged racial discrimination by members of the travelers community. Every case is similar. He said a group of lads walk in, behave oddly, and instead of ordering a drink, they'll start asking a barman if they serve Irish travelers. Sometimes they'll say they have a big group of mates who want to come along or claim they've been banned from other pubs in the area, which is exactly the sort of thing that will make a landlord refuse to serve them. Gay explains every time they turn out to have been recording the whole thing and the lawyer's letters arrive a couple months later, most are being handled by the same 2 or 3 law firms. Conspiracy theory here? Maybe the law firms are in on it. Maybe the law firms are colluding with them. Because they had to have been hit too by the Brandon economy. Although I guess it would be the Starmer economy in Airstrip 1 now. Often they'll hit up 3 or 4 pubs a day and then put in the claims for tens of thousands of pounds. We know at least one local landlord who paid out thousands to make them go away. Not bad for an afternoon's work. Yeah, that was a mistake. Because one guy paid out, now all the rest of them are getting hit. So what started in Croydon is spreading too. According to industry sources, pubs across the southeast have in recent months been hit by a tidal wave of near-identical litigation, causing serious financial hardship and stress to hundreds of landlords. The trend has become so widespread. One major national chain, speaking on condition of anonymity, told me that it is currently dealing with more than 40 separate compensation claims. Another, which runs several hundred pubs, says it has come out of nowhere that we are aware of 50 cases, all of them launched within the last year. Yeah, this is going to be just like within the medical industry. Like they're probably going to have to end up paying like an extra couple $1,000s a year for insurance against this now. Yeah, this I think is going to be just like malpractice insurance that doctors have to cover. A leading brewing source adds the lawsuits are being fought by a small group of people and a handful of law firms. They are incredibly prolific and obviously making cash. The trends seem to have started in London and the southeast, but we are increasingly seeing cases further north. Soon we're going to be seeing these here in the U.S. too. Someone told me that if Labor's smoking bans don't finish off pubs, their human rights laws will. The industry is already losing 700 pubs a year. This is the last thing we need. Yeah, it also doesn't help that people are starting to learn that they can just enjoy themselves at home, Like as people are starting to find ways to have fun on their own, yeah, pubs are going to go away. Oh, Fuller's, which has 400 pubs in and around the capital, recently emailed its landlords relaying a warning from police to be on the lookout for issues involving members of the traveling community. The email said the firm was passing on important information and guidance recently from the Hounslow West licensing police, who had warned of individuals or groups of travelers visiting premises, sometimes recording these visits secretly and attempting to goad members of staff into refusing service on the basis of ethnicity. Techniques pursued by fraudsters, had the email claimed, involved statements such as, "We've been turned away from the pub nearby because we are travelers. You wouldn't do the same, would you?" It added, alternatively, they may employ tactics such as individual entering, making a purchase, and engaging conversation, then mentioning that a group of fellow travelers will join them soon, implying the expectation of acceptance. For landlords on the receiving end of such litigation, the experience can be traumatic. Yeah, like imagine just trying to run a legitimate business, and then you have to deal with pieces of shit like this. Like that would kill someone's motivation to keep running that business. And then like knowing full well that the government is not on your side, that they're actively helping the fraudsters. Yeah, this is the kind of stuff that makes these people just shrug and say, "All right, that's it. This is how it's going to be. Just going to sell this business and I'm going to use the money to retire early." Trevor from the Surrey Cricketers, who has recently been diagnosed with leukemia, told me that he and his wife have found the demands for compensation incredibly stressful and fear that that fighting the claim could drive them into insolvency. It's time for a countersuit. Sue these fucking fraudsters. Ruin their lives. I've got a lot of medical problems, and I'm just shaking. I'm shaking just talking about this, he said. The landlady of another Croydon pub, also subject to a Howe and Company claim, told me that the experience has left her suicidal. I've had to go on medication, she said. It's very stressful. I'm at the point where it's difficult for me to function. This is a customer-facing job. This sounds like grounds for a countersuit to me. So you get letters arriving late on Friday and the stress hangs over you all weekend. They want some £20,000 to settle and say, if I don't find the money in a few weeks, we'll go to court. I can't afford a lawyer and I don't have that sort of cash. The landlady, who the mail is choosing not to name, adds, what's particularly hurtful is that I'm half Indian and had to grow up with discrimination in the 70s and 80s. I take it very seriously. The claim that I'm racist hits a nerve. I've worked in the trade since my 20s. I'm now 51 and has made me want to quit this work. Nothing has made me want to quit this work more than this. Now, this is pretty much exactly what I said, isn't it? Like, if you are trying to legitimately run your business and some scammers are able to do this to you and the government is on the scammers' side, yeah, this is like, okay, points taken. I'm just going to shut my business down. Yeah, you need to find a way to take care of all the employees I had now. Whatever the rights and wrongs of individual cases, one thing's for sure, Brian Mongan is a seriously prolific claimant. In addition to 3 pubs in Croydon, he's also instructed Townco to sue the owner of Gamley's Irish Bar in nearby Morden over the incident on February 7th. And he's using a second law firm, Julia and Rana, to sue 2 adjacent pubs in Dartford, Kent, which refused to serve him and 3 chums on February 17th. And one of the landlords on the receiving end of the litigation tells me that on the day in question, this guy came in and kept saying again and again, "Do you serve Irish travelers? We have a wedding booked that afternoon." So I said, "Not today." To which he responded, "What about tomorrow then?" He was getting more and more aggressive and I didn't know what to do to get rid of him. So I asked him to leave. And several months later, I hear from his lawyers. I initially thought it was a scam. Oh, it is a scam. So I didn't apply. Then we got a second one. I know 4 local pubs who were hit the same way. Yeah, it's a scam, but sadly, it's a legal scam. Yeah, this is why people just give up. Like when you realize that the entire legal system you're forced to operate under is on the side of the scammers, what motivation do you have to help that society, to help that community? In 2 of the Dartford cases, Monga and 3 relatives are seeking £30,000 each, or to put it another way, they have to combine £240,000 for events that occurred over 5 minutes. Either he's the unluckiest man alive who keeps ending up in pubs with seriously racist landlords, or he's a chancer who has come up with an ingenious way to make money, says one landlord. Yeah, counter-sue him, criminally charge him, lock his ass up for life. Send a message to other scammers. Among Us' take on this is unclear. He was not at home this week when the Mail visited his red brick semi in London suburb in West Drayton, owned by Peabody Trust, and has yet to respond to requests for comment. Neither did the law firms Julian Rana and Howe & Co. Martin Howe, the founder of the latter, has acted for both former Labour leader Jeremy Corbyn and his shadow chancellor John McDonnell. Fucking figures that it would be a fucking far leftist doing this shit. Yeah, so let me guess. This fucking idiot sees it as, oh, we're just going to be Robin Hood, man. We're going to rob from the rich and give to the poor. Oh, these rich fat cat business owners can afford it. Yeah, this is like a typical fucking idiot that doesn't understand that revenue doesn't equal profit. They probably look at these pubs and see, oh, they made like 10 million pounds last year. Yeah, in revenue. But only 50,000 in profit, you fucking moron. Mr. Howe's firm was also behind 2 test cases against the pub industry, one involving Weatherspoons in current year -9, where it represented a group of travelers denied entry to a pub in Holloway, a case that had left the chain saddled with legal costs of £1 million. The second case, which hinged on the Equality Act introduced by the last Labour government, followed in current year -2, when 12 Irish travelers were paid a 5-figure sum after being denied service by at a Green King pub where they wanted to watch a Tyson Fury boxing fight. Yeah, I think litigation and like career plaintiffs, like this is a cancer that's. Like, it's one of the biggest blights to first world societies, but it's not something most people think about because, like, your average working person, like, unless you're a business owner, you're never going to encounter this problem. So nobody really cares until they start their own business and they get hit by this. Oh, this is a good point. This is just a way for the UK government to artificially raise the number of racist discrimination attacks. That's true. Yeah, so all of these claims are going to be filed under racist incidents. And then the Labour government is going to point to that to say, oh, look, the alt-right is on the rise, guys. Oh, that is a damn good point. Yeah, bored rich kids who think they're playing rebels, most likely. Both victories are trumpeted in press releases from Howe & Co., which advertised its services on Facebook, saying the UK's leading law firm for discrimination challenges on behalf of travelers, gypsies, and Roma people. How many of this year's crop of discrimination claims will succeed is anyone's guess. One major pub chain said it had not responded to dozens of letters from Howe & Co. saying we have no intention of paying them a penny because we think these people are trying it on. Let's hope that they can win that in court too. In court, and Gary also offers fighting talk. I'm disgusted by these people and what they are doing to landlords. If they think they can get rich off the back of me, they can think again. I'd rather go bankrupt than pay them a penny, and we'll fight this all the way. The already beleaguered landlords of Britain will doubtless wish him well. Yeah, if anything, if you haven't gone through this yet and this goes poorly, that's a sign for you to just sell your business and move somewhere else. Move to a country that's less fascist. That might help.